Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Blocknight coming at you. I hope you guys are having a beautiful time learning online. My children start back to school today via online here in Pennsylvania and Hopewell, PA. So we'll see how that goes. Everybody has their own little place and station to work. Unfortunately, I have to share it. All right. Well, I'm the only one without my own little station. So I will still be able to keep up with all this stuff. They start at 10 o'clock, so I'll be able to do everything early in the morning before they get up and start using all the computers to continue their education as well. But they'll be going into June. You guys will be done here in May, so we'll keep this up and keep on a good pace. So I think we'll keep in track of the syllabus. We're right where we're supposed to be with the presentations, and don't forget that your paper is due on April 3rd at 5 o'clock. So if you have any problems or something like that, give me a shout out. But it should be up there on Blackboard for you, and you submit that underneath the group submission page. Okay, so everybody that was working together, they only need to submit it once under that. Okay, and if you're a lone individual person, submit it on that link as well. All right, so today we're going to continue with the renewable energy section, and one of my favorite sections of the book. And we're going to start off with the solar energy. And, the sun is just an amazing thing to me. It's an amazing work of, I don't know what to call it. I mean, it is really, we would not be here if it was not for the sun. And it's just so massive and powerful, it's hard for me to fathom. And we need to respect that, because all this oil and natural gas and coal that we're using is just ancient sunlight. It is our bank account. And we stumbled across the secret stash of super duper energy potent sunlight that has just fermented into this fine French wine for us to use. And it's made life so easy for us here in the world. And I'm thankful for that. But it does come back with its drawbacks. But having said that, let us check out this video here by one of my favorite dudes called Brian Cox. Sorry, he's a physicist that works, and he smashes atoms for life. That's what he does. He works at the Korean physics laboratory and finds out what's inside of atoms. He's crazy, dude. But I like this little video. I wish he would do more. He kind of vanished from YouTube, sort of. I don't know exactly what happened, but check this out.
Energy does fall on the surface of the Earth from the sun. You can work it out with a beautiful simple experiment using only a thermometer, a tin full of water, and an umbrella. Basically, you let the water heat up in the tin to ambient temperature, which here in Death Valley today is about 46 degrees Celsius. And then you put the thermometer in the water and you take the shade away and let the sun shine on the water. In direct sunlight, the water temperature begins to rise. By timing how long it takes the sun to raise the water temperature by 1 degree Celsius, you can figure out exactly how much energy the sun has delivered.
That's the law of thermodynamics.
And from that,
right?
how much energy
The second law of transferring that energy from one
surface.
state to another state.
It turns out that on a clear day when the sun is vertically,
And there's a mathematical equation for that.
is about a kilowatt. That's 10 100-watt bulbs can be powered. The sun's energy for every metre squared of the Earth's surface. In an audacious leap of imagination, Herschel used this figure to calculate the entire energy given off by the sun. So imagine adding up those kilowatts over this entire landscape. And then imagine following the sun's rays as they cover the entire surface of the Earth. But then, imagine this. The Earth is 150 million kilometres away from the sun. So actually, the sun is radiating energy out across a giant sphere with a radius of 150 million kilometres surrounding our star. How much energy does that make? It's 4 times pi 400 million, 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 millionth watts.
That's a lot of watts.
That is 1,000,000 times the power consumption of the United States every year, radiated in 1 second.
1 second
And we
at a
work that
time.
out by using some water, a thermometer, tin, and an umbrella. And that's why I love physics.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? So that little calculation of using an umbrella and a tin of water and a thermometer in Death Valley, we can calculate the power of the sun, how many kilowatts it gives out in 1 second, and it is an immense number. I can't even fathom. I mean, I can't even fathom that. And I believe that solar panels or solar power is, where we should start when we get into the circle of renewable energy, because that is the key. That's what really drives all the energy here on the world. Okay, but there is not one silver bullet, which we're going to find out. We can't just rely on solar panels or solar power because the sun doesn't shine 24/7, 365, right? Um, Here on where we're located in our geographical region, it does shine that, and it will last like another billion years, which is a good thing. And I want to try to capture that and utilize that as efficiently as possible. And I think that's where we need to start, really concentrating our abilities to try to get in there and switch to renewable energy. Okay, so solar is definitely the key because it is the key to everything. All right, and the Earth receives enough solar energy each day to power human consumption at current consumption rates for 25 years. So in one day's time, we can have enough energy for 25 years, but we can't store that energy, right? We have had the ability, the luck of the Earth storing that energy for us over 1,000,000 years, and we've blown through that in 100 years. All right. Uh, Finding cost-effective ways to efficiently collect this and converting this energy has been a major challenge, and that's what we're trying to do today. And I think we've gotten over some of the major hurdles to that. Right. The next phase is really just to implement them and adopt them, right, and see if they're actually working. And I think we're starting to do that. But there's a couple ways the sun actually helps us out in receiving energy. And one of the ways it's through the heat of the sun. Okay, so the heat in photolithics, what we're going to learn about later, is different. All right, than how the photolithics actually work, the solar panels that you have. All right, so collecting the heat of the sun is known as passive or active solar energy. Okay, passive solar energy just simply involves designing the building to maximize the absorption of the sunlight in the winter while keeping the interior cool and heat. Right. So during the winter time, the sun's lower in the horizon and it's heating up this, going through these windows and heating up this little space. During the summertime, when it's hotter, it's up here, and these eaves deflect the sunlight so it doesn't heat up as much. All right. You can also do this by planting vegetation for a temperature buffer zone. I hardly have to use any air conditioning in my house because I have these like 100-year-old silver maple surrounding my house, and I get no sunlight there. My solar panels are out in one of the pastures I have. On my roof wouldn't work. Okay, but it helps out. And during the summertime, during the wintertime, the sun is lower in the horizon, comes right through my big old bay window, and I love it. All right. There's also a way to do this. It's called thermal mass. So we use materials in the buildings that are used to absorb and store heat. And there's a guy, I can't remember his name now, the Garbage Warriors as a nickname, but he makes these things called Earth ships. I highly advise doing a Google search on Earth ships. They're really neat buildings. But what he does is he uses his thermal mass and takes it to the next level. His thermal mass are a bunch of tires, and he stacks up the tires in the back of a wall and puts a whole bunch of dirt up there, and then builds a house out of that little frame. And during the sun during the day will heat up that big thermal mass in the back, and there's an equation for that, right, to transfer heat into those tires. And then during the summertime, during the nighttime, that wall would just slowly diffuse that heat into the room, keeping it nice and ventilated. Right, a little bit more to it than that, but it's as simple as that same calculation that Brian Cox did on that video for us. Nice and simple. So look up the Earthships. I want to build one. Anybody wants to build one, come over to me and I want to build one. I want to retire one of those homes. All right. So that's passive solar energy where you're not moving anything. Then there's active solar energy where you're actually collecting it and then taking that heat, storage heat, and transforming it. So it takes some energy to transport it into heat for us to use somewhere else. And a lot of your hot water tanks are done this way. Okay. And you can even buy one for your home nowadays if you wanted to. Okay. And they work very, very good, even in cold areas in Seattle and stuff. So they're very, very efficient. Also, what's happening is you're taking the sun's heat, and there's like these tubes being going through there, and there's like a water solution with some antifreeze, and, a certain solution that's in there, and it goes up here and transforms into this solar array collection, and it weaves its way through these little pipes. And as it goes through these pipes, the sun slowly heats it up. So when it comes out, it is hot. And then it goes into this little collection tank inside of a collection tank. And inside of here is your hot water for your shower or something. All right. And then it slowly loses its heat, diffuses that heat into the hot water into the other tank, and it goes back up and gets heated up again to 120 degrees or whatever, and comes back down here, keeps this nice and warm, diffusing that energy into the hot water and out there to your house or your boiler. Right? You can do this for your floor spaces too. All right, so if you need to take a hot water shower or tub, and you can also put that water through the floorboards or radiator heat, and it will warm up your homes as well. All right, so active solar, the passive solar doesn't move the heat, kind of collects it into that thermal mass, and then the flat collector, and then the active solar actually takes that heat and then transfers it somewhere else. Okay, but you need to have some electricity here to run this pumping system, and this can be done with water or air. It doesn't matter. We'll learn about the air system here in a second. Then there's also concentrated solar power. And this is also activated by the heat. It's just that the sun, as Brian was talking about in his little video, it's so diffuse. It goes all over the place. It radiates all over the universe, right? And we can't, it's hard for us to really concentrate that into a good source. So we use what's called concentrated solar panel uh, power that intensifies the solar energy by gathering it in a wide area and focusing it on a solar single point. For the home use, you might have a solar cooker or something like that that kind of concentrates it. Think about this with your little potato bugs when you were a kid. You would take that magnifying glass and shine it on a potato bug or start a fire on a leaf. All right, the same principle. And we just have these mirrors that track the sun and point the rays up into here into what's called and it heats up what's called molten salt, right? Um, and it's a real thick, condensed but liquefied conduction. And that molten salt goes down there and heats up some water. That heats up some water and turns it into steam. And that steam turns a turbine that takes these magnets, go around these copper wires, and gives us electricity. All right. Problem is, you need to have a nice place for this. The biggest solar concentrating plant, I think, in the United States is in New Mexico. The most successful one, which one's modeled after, is in Madrid, Spain. And almost 98% of their whole city comes from this concentrated solar plant. But it is also, beautiful weather there, almost 24/7, 365. So it is definitely a nice place. And the technology, you got to remember, we have the laws of physics here. So they're trying to make sure that they can have some electricity during the nighttime because this concentrated solar plant isn't working. And they can actually store some of that molten salt into the heat and almost make it through a nighttime. All right, but they just haven't been able to get it through that nighttime to have that continual array of electricity generated by this plant. But they're getting there, and maybe they'll be able to do that. But we've got to remember we cannot uh, break the laws of physics. Okay, we are just the way the life is for us. Um, so we have other ways of doing it. Just using that heat, we can use the photolithic cells for the sun. All right, this is a little bit different. We aren't using um, the heat. Doesn't matter if it's a winter time or summertime in this during for these to be used. All right, because they convert sunlight directly to electrical energy through the transfer of electrons across a silicone plate. So it's going to take a little bit of power and mining and energy to get the silicon and everything else that goes into these solar arrays, and we layer them up into certain layers into these little tiny photolithic cells, right? And put them in parallel and series so we can figure out how many kilowatts it's going to provide at a certain time. All right, the sun strikes these rays and accepts those electrons down these little wires in each one of these photolithic cells and sends them down a wire, all right, to light a bulb, and it just returns that back to the circuit. That's it. Right? It's the same principle as, but it gets rid of boiling the water to turn the turbine to have those magnets go around those copper wires to give us electricity. It goes right from the sun to these solar photolithic cells into electricity. Now the downfall of this is they were always on. We can't turn them off unless there's no sunlight getting to them. All right, so if you're going to work on them, you got to throw a heavy blanket so you get no sun on them. Okay. Also, it can only be done in direct current. All right, and in the United States and around the world, we use what's called alternating current. We do that because we can actually get that alternating current farther down the transmission lines, and it's a lot more efficient. But we have what's called an inverter that will take that direct current and convert it into alternating current, so we can use our home appliances on it. Direct current would be like your battery, all right, for your phone. That's direct current. That's not done in alternating current, but you take that and you put it into your phone. There's actually a little inverter in your phone, believe it or not, that takes that AC, turns it into DC, so you can recharge batteries. Yep. That's how technology advanced we are to do this. And photolithic cells actually work. All right, I can vouch for that. I have them in my house, and maybe I'll bring up that little thing for you. These photolithic cells can be done in different forms. Okay, they can be done in that big array like you see here, um, or we can put it into like a thin film. You see sometimes on those calculators you have. All right, so there's all these different ways of doing this. For the electricity. And what we do here in the United States is we use what's called a net metering, all right, in which the value of the power the consumer provided is subtracted from the consumer's monthly utility bill. So I have solar panels in my home, and I don't really pay a utility bill. Because what happens is during the summertime, I build my average is about 43 megawatts per year of electrical consumption. So I built a 45 megawatt array, all right, to generate that much electricity. And when I am not using that electricity during the summertime, my meter actually goes backwards. Okay, so it spins backwards. And then during the summertime, when I need that little help from the grid, my meter will move forward. And I balanced it out so that it will try to be zero, right? A little bit more, but I'll never get any money back from decaying light. Okay, I don't expect that to happen. Uh, but there's rules and regulations. If I was going to do 10% more, I would not be. I would become a power company. All right. So the United States, there's some rules and regulations you have to know if you're going to do this for your home. All right. But net metering definitely does work. All right. And you can do this for a windmill as well too. It just sending it, sharing the grid, utilizing the grid. And having said that, I do get some bills from the Duquesne Light. Okay, still have to pay some taxes, but it's okay. And I call that my commons contribution. All right, because there has maintenance for that grid, and I am still using that grid, and I deserve to pay full cost for that or a cost for that. Okay, I'm not adverse to that, but I'd rather be paying $13 every quarter or something like that than paying $800 like I used to. That's right, I used to pay $800 a month. Now I pay nothing. All right, and every once in a while I get that tax, I gotta laugh. All right, but that's what that tax is for. All right, that tax is to help maintain for everybody to be able to use that grid. Okay, we all need it. So solar energy has many advantages other than over the other forms of energy. It's inexhaustible. Enough solar energy reaches the earth to power our civilization once we learn how to harness it. All right, we just really are right on that cusp. That's why I think this is one of the best times to be alive because we're really becoming more efficient in this solar energy. All right, and realizing that it is the number one source of all energy here on the earth, and we need to do it. All right, plus no fuel is needed, and we don't have to refuel this. We don't have to go up and fill up the sun. Right, it's always going to come up. It's reliable, in a sense. All right, there's no moving parts to a lot of the solar energy. The past solar is definitely no moving parts, and even for the solar panels, you put them up, they stay there. Mine have a 25-year warranty on it. It's looking good. And the jobs, baby. If we convert over to renewable energies, the jobs would be just huge. Solar job growth was kicking along until we started that tariffs and some stuff happened, but it's still growing. Largest sector, all right. But when you start from 0% and go to 1%, guess what? You just grew 100%. Okay, so take those numbers and a little bit with a grain of salt. All right, but it definitely is a sector that's outperforming coal jobs. Okay, and no greenhouse gases or other pollutants are emitted while producing the electricity or the heat. Definitely for the heat, But we got to remember, as an ecological economist, there's no such thing as way. There's something going on the front end to get all that stuff to make the photolithic cells, and also on the back end, what happens when we get rid of them. All right. So just remember, I always got to bring those kind of things up. All right. So, but over the long haul, photolithic cells and utilizing passive solar or active solar energy in a smart, economical way does make total common sense, right? And we are right there. If we had a carbon tax, I tell you, more people would be adopting them. All right, it does work. It definitely does work. Okay. So location, timing, and in cost of solar, which really can be its drawbacks. You can see here in the United States, this is where we have the most active sunlight. All right, and this is just done through 30-year cloud cover and all that other rigmarole. Okay, here in Pennsylvania, we don't have too much here in Pittsburgh. All right, but you can see Germany hardly has any, but they're kicking our butt. All right, we don't have any of this white right here on our map. All right, Spain, it's just like right here, and they're doing great with the Madrid um, calculations. So all you do is figure out what the irradiance is of the solar panels, of the solar irradiation of where you are, put your solar panels up, and that's how you can calculate how many kilowatts per hour you're going to get. But the drawback, solar energy is an imminent resource. It's only get 12, 8 hours a day. Solar energy also has a high upfront cost. So it costs a lot of money. There's no subsidies really buy. You can't really get a loan for solar panels and things like that unless the government helps subsidize them or something. So there's a large upfront cost to purchasing these. And the current installations do pay for themselves for a break even about 10 to 20 years. So you as a homeowner or someone that wants to put them up or in industry need to do that break even. Sometimes people say 10's a good number. Some people say 20 is way too much, right? I don't know if I'd want to break even in 20 years. My break even for my solar array was 8 years because I live on a farm. I got a little bit extra pocket money grants from the state. That state grant is no longer around. If I just stuck with the federal, I would get about a 10-year break even. Okay, so just do your math and whether or not you think it is worth it for you to invest in solar panels or any other renewable energy by doing the break even point. Okay. But solar energy is definitely expanding everywhere. So, due to the lack of government subsidies, investments in past decades to solar contributed to about 0.61% of U.S. energy supply. This was changing, however, during the Obama era, right? And we saw a large uptick. Unfortunately, it seems to have leveled off due to a change in the presidency and some of the policies that we have. All right. And China right now is definitely currently the world leader in solar technology, and it heavily subsidizes renewable energies more than it does fossil fuels. There is flipped, like uh, like I want the United States to be flipped. All right, they're going to be they are the leader right now in solar manufacturing, and I'm not too sure if they're solar panels. I know they're big as um, wind energy manufacturer and user. Okay, and wind. We'll talk about the wind during the next section. Okay, so let's stop on the solar, and then we'll start getting into the wind the next time. Okay, so I hope you all stay safe. And if you have any questions or concerns about the paper that's due this Friday, just give me a shout out. Okay, and I'll try to help you out the best as possible. Okay, we'll see you.